What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Fortnite Champion Series. It's your boy, Zeke. We just wrapped up the Reboot Round over in Europe, and now we're here in NAE East for another 3 games. That's right. If you've been with us since then you know how hyped these next games are going to be. And if this is your first time, strap in, okay? Because you're about to see some of the craziest Fortnite action you've ever seen in your whole life. We need friends to help break down all the action. It's Vivid. It's Adam. Boys, it's about to be that Reboot Round time. How you feeling?
Yeah, Reboot Round time, finally. Love the addition of the Reboot Round. Last season, it was absolutely amazing to watch, but today feels a little special because we don't have one Reboot Round. We have 3 Reboot Rounds, 3 games today where everything is on the line. A finals position is at stake, and how to get there? You need a victory royale, and that's not easy to do when you're up against players of this caliber.
I genuinely feel like I'm going to explode all day. I've been walking around clapping to myself going, let's go! Just because I'm so excited about this. So, the last, ever since the beginning of the season we kicked off, we knew that Reboot Round was coming our way. The community got behind it, all of us did too, and we knew that we wanted to see as much Reboot Round action as humanly possible. We have 3 games, as Vivid said here, and it's going to be hype central for every single one. This is last chance saloon for all these teams to get into finals, and I know that we're going to be blowing a gasket. We're going to be so excited the entire time. I can't wait to get started.
Okay, alright, I like the hype, and we'll get started in just a second. First, we gotta do a few things before we can board the battle bus for these games. First off, as you guys know, we start the competition in Europe. We go over to NA East right here, right now, and then we end the day in NA West. Now, do keep in mind, we have 3 matches here, but in NA West, we will have 4. So if you like this reboot action, join us later for that as well. Let's talk about the overall tournament format. Remember the scary graphic? It's coming your way. But at this time, not scary, right? We're in the Reboot Round. Next week, finals. But right now, Vivid, Adam, it's Reboot Round time.
It is Reboot Round time. And basically, to explain how the Reboot Round works, we are going to have a total of 33 teams fill up this lobby. Now, all of these teams, basically how they got together was they got 7th through 17th in their respective heats from yesterday. And that's how we got those players into this Reboot Round. That's how we decided who gets to play in this Reboot Round. And again, they are basically fighting for a slot in the finals, but there's only 3 to give, which is why we have 3 games today. And yeah, it's all on the line. A victory royale is what is needed. But what's special about today is that there's going to be a team that wins game 1. That team will be removed from the player pool, so they will not be in game 2 or 3 until we have like 31 teams in that final game, because somebody will win game 2 and they will be removed from the pool as well because they have already secured their slot in the finals.
I can't believe, just looking at the board there as well, they see 33 teams, 32, 31. We're getting so close. There are 30 teams already ready and waiting there in the finals for the last 3 teams to join them. And everyone is just waiting for this opportunity just to kind of see who's going to go through, because it all does come down to that final moment, that final, be it high ground or clutch play, whatever it might be, that is going to propel that team into potentially an opportunity to get their hands on the AXA champion. So this is going to be absolutely incredible. I can't wait to see what happens. Reboot Round is what it's all about. There's no messing around. It's just last team standing. It's going to be fantastic. I can't wait.
And this is going to be pretty hype. But the other thing that's going to be hype, finals next week, 2 days, 6 games both days, a prize pool, an axe of champions on the line, all the hype in the world. We can't wait to be there. But again, these are just future us things that we're going to be doing. Present us right now, it's all about the Reboot Round. 3 matches, only the victory royale matters. All the strategy we've built up to this point, it doesn't matter. You could have 99 eliminations and that last person could wipe out your trio and walk away with the VR, and they will be the ones punching their ticket into finals. Now, gentlemen, in case some of our friends here that are joining us missed out on the action yesterday, we have the standings. We can talk about which top 6 trios did already move on to the finals next week, but we can also talk about these trios in 7 through 17.
Yeah, 7 through 17 is going to be the players that you want to look at if you want to figure out who is in the Reboot Round today. And there are some really big names that we maybe wouldn't even expect that would have to go to a Reboot Round, because we thought that they were going to be so good that they would just be automatically through to the finals, maybe even a top 3 throughout the qualifying weeks. Let alone, going to the Reboot Round is kind of surprising for them.
It really is. I mean, looking at all the different names that are popping up on screen here as well, the team trios that we've celebrated over the course of the last, weekends, a couple of weekends, ever since we began this journey as well. It's amazing to kind of like be where we are now with this legacy that's been created over the last few weeks. And it's great as well, I guess, tonight as well for Reboot Round, for new players who are brand new to the game as well, having the opportunity to kind of just see at its core what it's really all about, a battle royale where someone can kind of come to the end and kind of get through to a finals and try and live their dream out. I mean, we can see here Heat 2 as well, some of the teams that we were focusing on Heat 3 yesterday. This is Heat 2. We can see Mega, Rokane, and Dubs there getting 37 eliminations, 178 points. Those guys go through. I got so excited there, I kind of lost my words. Sixth place there, Furious, Blake, and Illest as well, a team that we talked loads about as well. 136 points there, getting them through in the 6th position there. But you can see just 4 points at 7th position. Cloudy, Class, and Sussport just couldn't quite make it. But they were there today trying to get their own back, trying to get their way through in the Reboot Round as well. And Heat 3, we talked all about this yesterday, Vivid. What a heat it was.
Yeah, Heat 3 was absolutely phenomenal to watch. I loved watching it. Unfortunately, my team, my prediction right there, Calc, Joji, and Osp ended up coming in 10th place, so we will have another opportunity, thankfully, to see them again, because, we love watching them play. But a trio that I'm actually excited to watch today, and they've really picked it up. They showed how good they are at the end of yesterday was C-Split, Smite, and Strafes there in the 7th place slot. They actually lost the tiebreaker to go ahead and get that 6th place automatic advancement to the finals. And, them being so close to qualifying the finals just proves that they have what it takes. They didn't get a victory royale yesterday, but I know that they were playing really, really well. And today I would say, as a sideline route for somebody, I'm going to be rooting for them.
Yeah, and a big shout out from myself as well. 3rd position there, Scope, to clutched it in the solo style there at the very last game yesterday. The rest of the top teams weren't there, but he managed to get his team over the finish line and qualified. So GG you guys as well. Unbelievable scenes.
And we saw that all day yesterday, right? Just these trios coming out with these individual efforts, pushing their team across the finish line at all costs, making it into those top 6. But once again, today's story gonna be a little bit different, right? All you have to do is get that victory royale. It doesn't matter about points. It doesn't matter what happens. If your team walks away with a win, you're going to finals. That's it. So we got to talk about some of these trios coming into these games, some of their highlights, some of their cool plays. And Vivid, you talk about this trio a lot. This is their last chance. It's Calc's trio.
Nah, I don't think I've talked about him ever, have I? But yeah, Calc, Jersey, and Osp. And, what's really, really cool about this highlight that we're checking out here is that one of their strategies for yesterday was to land at steamy stacks. They had it uncontested, but they would use those stacks to fly in over on that split drop where that trio is always split because they need to be really separated to grab loot from all these different spots, so they can just all 3 fly on, land on one person, and it gets them really good early storm surge. So I hope that we see some good strategy around that today, because I think it was working for them yesterday. So if they continue something like that, they will have the storm surge necessary to lead into a really solid end game.
Yeah, generally wouldn't be surprised if you had a celebratory Calc henna tattoo at some point here. This is how much you love these guys. But let's look at our Eclipse and Zypher as well. Hero team, 23 eliminations, 84 placement points in semis, which was very close to qualification in Heat 2. They've not managed to make it into a round 4 yet, but with their track record of sealing the deal when it comes to sweeping out M-game. I'm sure they could. And Animal here as well. We know Animal. I remember watching Animal at Katowice Royale all those years ago, and here he is back, still dominating that high ground, Vivid. And we know these veteran players, they know exactly what they're doing in these situations.
Yeah, Animal has always been a really, really solid player. He's been, in the scene for a very long time, so he is a veteran player. He does have that experience. He knows what he needs to do today, knows he needs a victory royale, and he knows how to win games, right? The formula that is needed, he just needs to execute on that today. And then obviously he's backed up by High Sky, another veteran, and then AV, arguably one of the best controller players that, has come around in recent times. He's just really, really good in those close quarters situations. So I think that he'll be able to get a lot of refreshes for that trio today.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Chaotic, Strep, and Owl, we saw them yesterday competing in Heat 3. It was great watching these guys here. 3 top 10 finishes in semis, getting the Victory Royale in Game 1, which tells me they can definitely survive until endgame and get the job done. They've had 12 Victory Royales across the season of FNCS as well, so they've definitely got that predatory instinct as well to be clinical at the endgame. So it's going to be great watching these guys and see how they get on today as well. I mean, they're going to work on their elimination average. I think it was 3 over the last few days, but to be honest, as we talked about already, Reboot Round, Zeke said it a ton of times, it's all about this last one opportunity to get through it. Regardless of eliminations and averages and whatnot, it's just about winning. It's just getting the victory royale. That is what matters. Get to endgame, make it happen. You're there, you're in finals.
And I love, Vivid, that you kind of talked about the caliber of players kind of competing in NA East right now. I mean, it's literally a who's who of who could move on to the finals, and there's only 3 spots, right? So every time we're watching these games play out, the moment one of these high-profile trios we're so used to seeing in finals, for example, they fall, they're gonna be like, okay, well, we have 2 games to make something happen. If we're not careful, we will not be going to finals in Chapter 2 Season 6, which is wild to think about, and it stresses me out like you wouldn't believe. But we got to talk about predictions. Which trios you guys think will come out on top in one of those top 3 spots? Our analysts, our casters, they've made these predictions, and so we can kind of talk through who we believe will be going through. Now, Vivid, MDF, Sizz Lucky, Nounsy, and Shades. Why do you think you picked this trio?
Yeah, a bit of a surprising one there, you know. Maybe underdogs is the word. You know, Sizz, Nounsy, and Shades, not really like known. They're not like really huge players that have, you know, won a lot of events, but I love Sizz. He's a really good guy. I used to team with him. I know he has the potential because especially after yesterday, that victory royale that he picked up, like that was like, wow, like Sizz can still play. You know, he can still grab these victory royale. So I really like the fact that MDF went ahead and picked him because MDF knows that guy has experience in the game. You know, obviously he played with me, so he's got to, you know, he's got to have a couple of tricks up his sleeve, right? You got to learn something from me. But I went ahead and chose Oz, Jersey, and Calc. Listen, these guys better not let me down today. I feel like they've let me down in the past couple weeks. You know, I keep predicting them, I keep rooting for them, and you know, today they're going to show up. I'm going to say it. Today they're going to show up. They're going to win the first game.
He said that for the last 6 weeks, everyone. So let's see what happens. Also, Divine's trio. I'm going for Divine's trio. Okay, so I mean, this is a team as well. They've been together since I think February time this year. 4 top 5 finishes in their 6 semi-final games. But they actually only got a chance to play 5 of them yesterday, but still came out on top with like 137 points, the highest amount of points of any other reboot round qualifying team. They finished 10th overall in the last FNCS finals, so they're looking great as well. And of course, we have Sprite, Tahi, and Gabe as well, who a trio that Aussie is excited about. I know that he knows that these guys, if they can make it out of that contested opening kind of beginning, they'll definitely go all the way. They have the experience. They are an exciting team to watch, and I think he's got a lot of faith in them. Let's see what happens today.
I mean, I feel like Aussie's pretty good at making predictions, but you know, look, you know what? If you want to hear from them, they can defend themselves. So it's time to go over to our casters. It's Aussie Antics, it's Monster D-Face. They will be our eyes in the sky for NA East. Gentlemen, over to you.
It's not even about defending at this point. It's just about how do you pick a team right now. There is too much riding on the line. It is going to come down to who can keep the composure. And that's why I personally leaned into the vet of Sizz Lucky. You know, we saw something great from them yesterday, picking up the victory royale. I think that's a confidence booster. Remember, you even go to their social profiles, they're not in the mix, right? They're just super low profile, super, I guess, head down grinders. I know why you picked your team, Aussie, but take me through it because that's a big team. They can surely get one of the 3 today.
It is Gabe, Tahi, and Sprite. Obviously, I mean, like, I love that Adam's been leaning on like past weeks' examples of performances, and that is a fantastic way to lead into a pick. But for me, we know Gabe, Tahi, and Sprite, they've been going up against Clix, Bizzle, and Booger game after game, week after week. And when you go up against a team that strong, you don't get to show your full strength. Last season, though, Gabe, Tahi, and Sprite definitely showed their full strength. I am fully convinced if they are uncontested or if one of the 3 games, they can take the team out early enough to get off drop looking healthy. I think they are the best team at getting victory hours in this lobby, but it all depends. I mean, there's so many big names in this lobby, and looking at the other regions, we've actually seen quite a few upsets. I mean, this is different Fortnite, right, Monster? We're basing this off previous experiences when they're playing for consistent games, right? You're playing for a consistent top 5. When you're playing just for the win, it's entirely different.
Yeah, it surely is. Like we said, the pressure is going to be on, and let's just talk about the dynamic that we should be expecting for these games. I mean, heal-offs, not out of the question. Normally, in these FNCSs, in the normal qualifier week to weeks, you're going to go all the way. Players are going to bang it out. They're going to literally just try to do their best to secure as many points as possible. The format changes all that, right? Everything is now flipped upside down. It's on its head. It is about survivability. How long can you stay alive? Will you have those floppers? Can you maintain HP inside the storm with the medkit plays? Like, we've seen so many teams mess up medkits. I think this season more than any other, there's just been just a spotlight put on people failing the heals. If there's a time to fail a heal, it probably has already happened. This is not the time to do it, not at all.
No.
But again, there's more pressure than ever now.
Yeah, there's more pressure there. We've seen it a few times, and I feel bad because when you're sitting back, you're sitting comfortable, and you're watching someone pull off a medkit play, it seems so simple, right? It's a counter, get it off before the storm gets you, and you're fine. But it's always that 0.1 millisecond delay on the actual activation of the medkit that trips so many pros up, and I hope they've learned it by now because there's nothing worse than watching someone go down in the reboot round and not qualify because of a failed medkit. I watched it on NA West last season. It was gut-wrenching, but I'm sure the players have now learned. But yeah, it's a different game altogether, Monster. Even endgame when you're rotating, if there's a player on your layer, if there's a player below you, you're only looking for eliminations if it gives you some kind of material or maybe med advantage, or if it gives you a positional advantage. Outside of that, it does not matter. And that's why I'm expecting this early and mid game to be incredibly stacked. I'm fully expecting when Surge kicks off, 85, 90 players, I'm expecting a lot.
Yeah, but remember when that killer instinct kicks in, you never really know. Players just go into what they know, which is jump on that team, take that fight. And the game, the battle bus is just about to be underway. Ladies and gentlemen, game number 1 of the reboot round here for the FNCS is here. This is going to be a very, very important game, and already players are starting to take to the map here. It looks like Lazy Lake is contested. It looks like Misty Meadows has a team there. Sweaty Sand seems to be completely clear, which is a big, big pick for you there, Ozzy. I know you're probably feeling good now.
Yeah, that's looking pretty good. Gabe Tahi and Sprite getting uncontested. Sweaty will be interesting, but I'm seeing a lot of power POIs all uncontested as well, though. We have Oz, Joji, and Calc. I feel so bad. I've switched up on these guys. I've backed them for 2 weeks. I love Calc. I wouldn't be surprised at all if they get the victory out, but I even DM Calc. I was like, look, mate, no offense. I backed you twice. I got to switch it up here. We got to see how you go, but that off the bat, we have a legendary pump shotgun. We already have Calc trying to get the extra meds in the inventory, using the harpoon to get some of those fish. You already mentioned it, Monster. If we go to a heal off, it's all about the floppers. There's no more chug splashes. It's med kits and it's floppers. That's it. And you can only get one med kit off in a 10-tick zone, and that's before zone closes. So I like this playstyle. The thing that's going to depend massively for this team, Monster, and already it's looking not the greatest, is zone. If they somehow get a first zone that pulls to steamy stacks, I am fully convinced they could win this one. They could still do it. They got a win yesterday, even when they got an opposite zone. It just makes it that much more difficult.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very difficult. And let's not forget, they still have to play a surge strategy where they've used their trump card multiple times. Hit the steamy stack, land on a team. I don't think anyone's going to be letting their guard down here today, right? Especially when you know Calc and company are inside the game. Now let's hop over to our first fight. One of the only POIs contested, Lazy Lake, and you can see Demon's just holding high ground here. Insight just wants to look outwards, right? Make sure he can keep tabs on the opponents, get the tags here, and look, they're disengaging. No one wants the battle, right? They're going to back off, probably content with not having this fight to themselves. And in the feed, I see Ace and Divine finding their own elim, so it seems like their drop spot's also contested, and they're on the winning side. That's a pick for one of our analysis there.
Yeah, that's it. Adam's going to be happy about that one, but that's a little bit scary because it means they are contested. Yes, they got a bit of Storm Surge, but look at all the builds, look at the time they're investing, and this also means if they don't win this game, they're probably going to get contested game 2 and 3 as well, and that's why this dynamic changes so much. Also, I'm seeing Calc and Joji in the feed. Monster, we're talking about, you know, Calc's team not catching anyone off guard, and I fully agree with you, but it looks like maybe the players haven't done as much homework as what you and I have, because they just dropped on a Chewy and Magnolia out of Steamy, so that's some easy surge for them on the board. But I was gonna say, I saw this last night in OC, you saw it a bit in EU this morning. Once a team wins and they're taken out of the player pool, that drop spot is now up for grabs, and it's a proven drop spot that just got the victory out. It's an interesting kind of development of any teams that are struggling now go there, but what happens if another 2 or 3 teams had that same idea? Now you're in a 4-way contest, which you're just never gonna win. It's why this 3-round reboot format is just so interesting.
Yeah, that really does become a mind game at that point, right? Do you psych yourself out? Do you overthink and overcompensate the thought process behind it? Because like you mentioned, a team wins, drop spot's free, might as well take it, right? But yeah, that's where the struggle, I guess, of the mentality comes in. We're definitely going to see that, right? Like, hypothetically, if Caddy's corner becomes free, well, I guess not Caddy. They were just contested. They won the drop, but another draw spot, right? If Calc hypothetically takes this game 1 here, that's surely a great draw spot. And it's a big enough draw spot for multiple players as well. So should a team, I guess, at a major POI win, especially this game 1, I think it'll have the most influence on the rest of the lobby.
And this is when you got to come out strong as well. I love to see Calc feeling confident, getting elims on the board early, because you're going to see a lot of teams go down to Storm Surge. You're going to hear me and Monster talk a lot about Storm Surge today. It's very simply put, it's just a mechanic in the game that you need to make sure that you are not the team in the lobby that's done the least amount of damage if there's too many players alive. Remember, all these guys are playing for a victory royale. They are going to want to stay alive here. So if you see over 70 players, and we'll tell you when, that's when Storm Surge will start kicking in. Everyone on that team is going to take damage until they do enough damage to get above that threshold. So you got to look for those teams like Calc that are coming out confident and taking fights already, because a lot of teams are going to underestimate this. Some of the teams here have played a reboot round before. This is not our first season that started, but a lot of people always fall for the fact that the first game is going to be so stacked. So you need to play aggressive. You can't let the nerves get the best of you. You need to still play as if you're playing a regular game, but then when it comes into end game, that's when you shift gears. Don't start opening the edits looking for eliminations. Just play for that victory out. But if you play the early game as if you're playing just for a win and you're not going to fight anyone, you're going to go down to Surge.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You just have to play your game the way you normally would. The moment you get a little too passive, the moment you try to switch things up, that's actually where everything starts to crumble against you, and you're putting yourself in something that you haven't quite prepared for. There's no way to prepare for Reboot Round, right? Like, all of your practice up until now should be to actually consistently win games. Otherwise, like, what are you doing, right? So I think a lot of players do get in their own mind, especially at this stage in the game.
Yeah, I think so as well. I mean, it depends. With no mobility in the game too, we got to talk about the reality of whether this will go to heal off. There's a good chance at least 1, 2, maybe all 3 games do go to a heal off, but I was noticing last night in OCE, not so much the case. If you get bad zones, which is definitely what happened last night, EU today, we did see heal off becoming a bit more of the meta as well. If the zones pull out of old builds, if they keep pulling max distance, or if they go up a mountain into the water, if you're forced to expend more material because there's no mobility in the game right now, like launch pads or like rifts, you then don't get the chance to go to a heal off. You have to fight at the very end. So a lot of these teams are going to start like getting all their loot together to try to play for that heal off, but quite often it's going to come down to an actual fight at the end. And I think that's what trips a lot of players up, because they are changing up their playstyle a little bit too much, like you said, Monster.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And here it is, Eclipse trying to get involved right here. He does miss the gas canister, unfortunately. Could have been a big opportunity to open up some of the base there, but no, the opponents are all going to back off. Lazar, Zypha, and Eclipse have one of the better spots here on the zone right now. You can see they're split up a bit. Zypha holding the tip top of the mountain. Eclipse trying to hold players off on the side. It's actually trapped Nani and Durant there. That was a pick that I was surely thinking was going to do well and honestly qualify their way all the way through the finals. And that's the other reality of the truth here. There's so many teams that are exceptional players, but it is just going to come down to who can be the most consistent today, who's feeling it, who can tuck away the nerves, who's got that killer mentality inside of them to really just put it all here and lay it down. Let's see it though. Zypha hunting around, and look at this, the loadout, not even that great for someone like Zypha. This, I guess, late into the early game, right? We're starting to transition soon to the middle of the zone pools, right? You want to have a little bit more than that.
Yeah, I mean, they got forced out of Lazy Lake. They didn't want to take that fight on spawn, and I respect that. And Lazy Lake is one of the bigger POIs, and Zypha getting a little bit lucky there, talking to the NPC and getting the big pot. That is a big gift there for Zypha. But yeah, they don't really have the loadout they need, but you never know. It looks like they're going to try and play the game the way they can. The reason why I'm looking at certain teams, though, I've picked Gabe Tahi and Sprite. I really hope if we get an inventory shot here, I might see it. Yes, that's exactly what I was looking for. I'm looking for hop floppers, and I'm looking for peppers. Any of the small amount of mobility that's in the game right now that lets you play aggressively for height is going to play out massively for these teams. There's not a lot of nom craze at Sweaty Sands. It's obviously not as many as Caddy Corners, but there is still a chance they walk out with at least 3 peppers, which is enough for their whole team to use them. Looks like they do have the hot floppers. That negates any fall damage. If you use those and you're aggressive height, you don't have to worry about taking fall damage, and that's going to be the meta mostly here today. Last NAE's reboot round, we saw it done won by the kings of high ground. Zayt, Saf, and Stretch, they won it. They alphaed height early, they held it, and they won the game. And that's what a lot of these guys are going to be looking to do. It could be won by a low or mid-ground team, and me and Monster always coined the phrase, high ground wins games, low grounds win tournaments. But this isn't a tournament. It's about winning games.
Yeah, definitely. And listen, you saw right there 5 hop floppers.
It's a lot.
At least within this trio here. And that's off of the 2 POVs we saw. It is a lot. I mean, you get a little kickback on the heels there, but like you mentioned, it's the bit of extra mobility. I don't think we ever really throw hop flopper fish inside the mix when we mention or list off the things mobility has to offer in the game, right? It's just one of those sleeper ones that, you forget about. But I think that whenever we get into these FNCS stages, right, and I'd say the coverage of tournaments, there's always new strategies being revealed, right? It's more like it gets kind of put on a spotlight, put on a pedestal, and now players get to pick it up. They learn from one another as much as we do when we get to watch and study over their gameplay. So, yeah, I think that can be attributed to yesterday's highlight, us watching it all kind of play out, and now teams realizing, hey, wait a second, there's some cool things we can do with this.
It was actually Sparebo, Felix, and Pose. Shout out to them. That's the team. We tuned into them for just game 1 of the Heat 2, and they ended up taking it. They ended up getting top 6 and qualifying through, kind of showing up mine and Monster's confidence in them as players, but they've really highlighted how good those items are. And I think a lot of that as well, Monster, isn't even just them learning. It's also them hiding their trump cards, right? Like, you save it for the big moments. If you got a strategy that you know works and you think that other players might not know about, I mean, we saw that quite prevalent last season with the big chill. A lot of players utilizing that in the reboot round, especially OCE's reboot round winner was able to pull that off. That's what you do. You save those moments for like the last few games that really matter. I would have probably tried to show my trump card in the Heats potentially, but if they back themselves on reboot round, then that's what it's going to come down to. And Panda, Stowe, and Twexy, a team we haven't talked too much about. I'm a little bit scared that Stowe doesn't seem to have the best shield, which makes me think they don't have any big pots left, but this is a team that could show up big. Twexy's done very, very big things on the console track, and I'm excited to see if they can do it here on PC. Panda as well. It's a newly formed team. We've got a lot of newly formed teams here, actually, Monster.
Yeah, definitely. You're talking about just shield and teams not looking too healthy. They're going to be digging deep into their loot pool, and you can see down low as Sid, Divine, Ace there, they barely have anything to work with as well. They're just trying to really put something together, and that's going to be the reality for a lot of these teams here. They're just going to be working off the land, working off of whatever it is that they could have gotten from whatever route they put together because of the passive nature here, as we're starting to lead into what look like a little bit of an engagement here for Jax, Nevify, and Jackson down low, or Lie here. You have a team, they're sitting right up above. 87 players in the lobby. Only a few teams have now been taken out of this one in full here.
I was saying my prediction was going to be around that 85 to 90 mark. So, we're looking pretty stacked here. We've only lost 3 teams out of this. Lijax, the team ramps up on them here. Lijax is 3 below. They need this damage. This is actually good for them in the sense if they were ready for it. If they got the damage down, Nevify's now on literally 1 health, has the floppers, has the medkits, has the minis, needs to get away from this one. But when we talk about this going to a heal off, he's now just gone through very, very valuable utility that could have won that heal off and won the victory. Now we have Krusty on the high ground. Everyone's got eyes on this. They're on top of this spire. This is one of the most elevated spots in the map, especially when it's in the middle of the Misty Lake. Like, this is not where you want to be taking a high fight.
Yeah, but not only that, another trio just stepped into the mix here. They're going to go up and base over. They're like, hey, Storm Surge fight? Yeah, we need that too. Let's get in. And now all of a sudden you have 3 teams sitting on top of one another here. Damage looking good though. At least Jackson Company find what they were looking for here. Kippets and Krusty, they get into fight up above. That's the engagement. They were the latest ones to rotate in. And no, Kippets now by himself. You saw Vague jump off the build. He gives Kippets the high ground here. But for what? Kippets is only a solo now. Kip is holding some very valuable heals here as well, and Peppers too, so this could be a very crucial knock right now, but no, it's a messy fight. Players rotate into Jax's team. They're looking to wait here and find and capitalize, and they do. And now another one here for Lijax. He's going to find a white tag there, and the knock. Seems like he might have gotten the finish. He's now looking for it.
This is a scary one as well. Like, yeah, you're winning the fight, but how much have you used into it? You're the edge of zone. Like, these are those scary Storm Surge fights. This is why I told you guys what Storm Surge is, because that's what these fights are. They might look strange to you if you're at home and you're used to playing normal lobbies, even some arena games, maybe some less stacked tournaments. You think, hey, if you're playing for the Victory Royale, why are you just ramping on top of a team on edge zone? It's because they have to. They didn't find their Storm Surge. They didn't get their damage early. They're going to go down regardless. They have one last-ditch effort to get their damage, but me and Monster always talk talk about on the broadcast, if you're box fighting for your Storm Surge, something has gone wrong. At that point, that is the last-ditch effort, and it very rarely goes well. You want to be in teams like this: Class, Cloudy, and Suscript. And honestly, this is a team that I potentially should have picked for my prediction. I would not be surprised at all if they pull this off. We had Cloudy, Suscript, and Bumboy absolutely dominating last season before, unfortunately, Bumboy had to go back to NA West, but they managed to pick up Class, which is a big addition to this team, and they've been a kind of sleeper pick. They haven't been as consistent as last season, but I truly think they could pick up a victory royale here, and you're seeing it. They're based up in hard mats. They've got all their Storm Surge at distance. There's no one near them, and they're just controlling the whole area around them. Everyone's having to go around them, and they're just going to keep a clear path for themselves straight into the center of next zone.
Yeah, not only that, they have a full team wipe, so they've literally done their part for the game here. They've gotten the surge that they've needed, and they're based up here on the outer edge. 1 minute on the clock here to continue to put pressure on other players as they have to make their rotates through. And then the game is on. Then the real Fortnite begins. How are they going to rotate out of this position? We'll see, because they're the only team at the northern portion right now, which means that all the other teams are going to be hunkered down, base down, most likely inside the Lazy Lake. We already know south of Lazy has all kinds of action unfolding. But yeah, you mentioned Class being a big addition to this team. I absolutely agree. This is another one of those makeshift trios that have come together that have veteran quality mixed into it. And those are the teams that can realistically win a game here, especially in these next three. Talking about the vets, we have High Sky, Animal, and AV. Of course, all coming together as well. This is the Xset and, of course, Sentinel team right here. Not too bad, but Animal's he's in a world of trouble right now. There are a couple campfires here they can potentially rotate or migrate towards, but again, there's players everywhere. There's no free passes.
Yeah, I'd be looking for a campfire as well. I think that's trying to stay edge of third. They're going to have to go more central anyway. I guess maybe just wait the 5 seconds to see where zone goes and then start moving towards the campfire. There it is. I think Animal's going to kind of sit on that one on the way through. Then they'll go for the rotate. In trios, you're not going to see people play too aggressively off a campfire play. They even have the med kit. Interesting. So they really do want to play that medkit heal off at the end. They have 2 players low, or technically all 3 of them are low. They don't want to waste their 1 medkit on one of them getting health, so they're going to use the campfire. I like that. They're showing again, they're playing for that victory royale. They're playing endgame. They're playing their game a little bit differently, but they have a full trio wipe on the board, so not too differently. This is the team that you saw contested at Holy Hedges yesterday, every single game. I think now it looks like they might still be contested, but when it comes to the reboot round, this isn't about 6 games. If you can just beat the team on spawn once and make that your game, make that your one opportunity to have the pop-off you need, which is what we're seeing from AV, High Sky, and Animal. They're ramping up here on the edge of 4th. They're banking on getting that 5th half zone. Gabe Tahi, Sprite have built up for it. We have a Perta off to the side. It's going to be about who gets this zone. This zone and the next one first rotating are the most important factors for getting a victory out. You can still overcome it with a bad zone, but if you get a good zone and you're a good team in a position to take it, it's very, very hard to dethrone that.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And here it is. That 4th zone is pretty much dead center right now to the map. Everyone's going to have equal takes as far as moving in, and they only have to move just a little bit here. So all of those teams that we saw before, keeping tabs on, are now starting to make their way inside. Here's Calc, Joji, and Osto. 3 eliminations. Like we mentioned, we saw that they called Magnolia, Chewy, and Donnie's team there, which means that they got their wipe early. Yesterday, their problem was actually Storm Surge. They were having a pretty difficult time, I'd say, maintaining some of the surge in some of the mid games, which is interesting because they were landing on teams, right? They landed, what was it, on Okis and company just yesterday. And, you know, Calc took to social media. He was talking about it. He said, man, you know, it kind of sucks having to land on people that you know and stuff like that. We didn't want to have to do that, but it is what it is. The only way they can get surge. And that's why I thought, like, they were going to have an even harder time today, but got to do your homework. Got to pay attention to these little telltale signs of teams that only have a single strategy.
Yeah, this is looking fantastic for Vivid's pick here, my traded up pick, because I'm seeing good loadout as far as damage. I'm seeing some meds. I'm seeing floppers and med kits. It's going to be about this zone. This is the 5th zone. 5 seconds and we will know everything about who has the strength and power position. You can still make up for it, but if you get a good half, you base up on high ground. We see Gabe Tahi and Sprite. They don't look like they're moving. They look like they're looking around. They didn't get it, unfortunately. Gabe Tahi and Sprite have to pull opposite. It's gone to the south side of Lazy, which means this could could also be a Lazy Lake first rotating, a big throwback to the OG tilted days of rotating through big builds, and that makes heals off that much more likely. If you can break into an old building, hide inside there, save your material, and oh my gosh. When I talk about high ground and half being so important, that is the perfect visual representation of what it means to these teams. They will put everything on the line to get that high ground on half and try to hold it. But if you have another team that aggressively trying to push, and this isn't held up by that much, you have to be scared because they're investing so much in this. It's Ace, Sid, and Divine. This is Adam's pick right now. Just building to sky limit against Demon, and just like that, Sid has to drop down. They give up the high ground, but if both teams invested too much, yes, high ground on half is important, but if you have to drop down 10, 15 layers back to rotate, you have so many materials. A good team like Gabe Tahi, Sprite, Joji, Calc, and Osp could easily late take it off you. All you got to do is get front side on second or third rotating, crank a few 90s, and you're now got high ground with way more material. I know high ground's important, but I have to think both those teams got a little bit skittish, overcommitted. We'll have to see though.
Yeah, not only that, Sid had the pepper effect there too. So I'm thinking maybe he just thought, hey, listen, if I can do this by myself because I have peppers, we'll be okay. And worst case scenario, break it down. But no, looks like that is not even going to work out. This is super enforced here. You can see Divine really trying to figure out how it is that they want to play this. They clearly don't want to be too close up. They understand that they are on fragile ground as well. He doesn't want to be too high. He wants to be close enough to at least be able to catch themselves. Where's this next zone going to go right now? It's going to pull complete opposite for the majority of the lobby. The bulk of the lobby is going to have to rotate across. All these teams still sitting on their hop flopper fishes. I don't think we've ever seen a setting in Fortnite competitive history where so many teams have actually been utilizing these hop fishes. And look at this. This is what we talk about. This team is massive. This base is absolutely massive. We just have not seen something like this in seasons.
But I mean, look at it now. Predator's team is poised. This is what I was talking about. You get front side and you can poise and take it right now. Paris has managed to top off them here, but they haven't used as many materials. This team has expended a lot. But as I say, that looks like Pseudo. He has 105 builds left. They do have the Harpoon. They have the Flopper. So I was saying this was maybe a little bit too early, but honestly, I like the way this team's playing this. He's staying on the backside for exactly this. This is why they left a player behind. Two players rotated the front side. Pseudo stayed at the back to make sure no one ramps up and takes it. Ace uses the hot flopper and jumps off the high ground. They give it up. Gabe Tahi and Sprite are on second height. They are looking for it. They have that hot fly. They might be able to have it. Ace goes up for it. Ace ramps from the backside. He's able to take it off them. He's up there on high ground now, but they're a duo. Sid's already done this and it didn't work, but Ace and Divine, they are full sending it for this high ground. 35 builds, they're fighting for it. This is why you don't want to overcommit to hide early. Everyone else is paying attention to this. Teams like Gabe Tahi, Sprite, they know this fight is happening. They know high ground is going to be weak and they're going to try and take it from them now. Ace has to give it up, and the hot flopper runs out just in time. He loses the low gravity effect and he goes down to fall damage.
Oh man, he just mistimes it there, and all of a sudden he is down and out, and Divine is left with nothing. 54 HP. Surge going crazy right now, so the lobby's still getting lit up here. Calc now takes advantage. He is looking up. He sees the opportunity. He now has high ground. All of a sudden, Calc, Joji, and Off can actually do this. They're a full trio here coming into the end game. Tahi still alive, though. There's still so many other teams that are holding on to a dear piece of hope here. But 8 eliminations for Calc, Joji, and Off. It seems like this is their game. Even have the stink bow. This is perfect. Dig into those white heels. That is the play to make right now, because if you force teams to use floppers early, they have more of an advantage. Aussie, they're setting themselves up to actually take game number 1 here.
They are in a fantastic position. The only thing that scares me right now is Calc is down to 2 builds. If they can find a refresh, if they can find something out of this, they will be looking fantastic. We have Calc, a competitive veteran, the first NAE's trio FNCS champion all those years ago, even rocking the same skin. This is an absolute throwback. They're high ground champions. They're on high ground. We see Cashew goes down. Joji and Oz need to do what they do best. They need to find refreshes. Joji's going through the last few bits of his builds, but we have Joji and Oz, 2 young mech demons who need to try to find something. They're throwing down the med kits. Calc is going to go for that heal off. He has the med kit. He has the floppers. He has everything he needs. Strafes is down. Class is down. Aminish is down. Everyone is falling down below. They are a full trio on high ground, and they are poised to take game 1. It is very, very likely at this point Calc takes this unless someone has an answer. Who down below can step up and challenge the champs? Because someone is going to have to do it. Zone pulls across again, which I know it's pulling back, actually. This is fantastic. pick. This is going to save even more materials for them. You have Cloudy and Susboy fighting on the low ground. I don't see Tahi. I only see Gabe and Sprite. I think Calc has this monster.
Yeah, definitely. Tahi is down. He's out. Gabe is actually clutching up down there. Last we tuned in with him, he had a little bit of HP, but there's no builds on Joji and company. I mean, they did harpoon in some stuff, but was it going to be enough here? Now we're looking at it. There are 12 players remaining, just 5 teams. They're the only full trio I can think that can actually do this all here, and they have this little mountain. They're holding the mountain here. Also, they're putting all the pressure in, but no, he's going to slip in. Now, all of a sudden, you can throw this away. This is still on shaky grounds here. Teams are waiting, though, Ozzy, just lurking nearby. The pull up with the harpoon. Get up here. Get to safety. He just got pulled in. Sprite's going to sneak up. Oh, my gosh. Sprite might just do this. He caught one.
There's actually no chance Sprite does this. Calc's low.
He might actually clutch.
Smith's full health on low ground. Sprite, there is no way you are doing this. Sprite is on the high ground. Calc is trying to fight him. Sprite has this potentially. Oh my gosh. This could be the clutch of his career. Sprite is on the high ground. What can he do to take this? He has just taken a 1v3 against the high ground team. He is a solo right now. He has every advantage. He has the builds. He has the health.
Oh my
Sprite
God.
has done it. Gabe, Tahi, and Sprite win game 1. Monster. I said I was going to throw my voice out. What have we just witnessed?
No. That is not how it's supposed to happen, Sprite. You are insane. Wow, I'm speechless. What do you say after that?
I was watching that thinking, all right, Vivid's going to smile. Vivid's going to laugh at me the first time I don't pick Calc's team, and I switch it up for Gabe, Tahi, and Sprite, and they show what they can do best. That team has been involved in a lot of drama in the weeks coming up to this. They've been going up against the big boys, Clicks, Bizzle, and Booger. The community's been a bit divided on it, but you cannot deny it. Gabe, Tahi, and Sprite are 3 of the best players in NA East. Sprite has just pulled off one of the best clutches you will ever see in the game of Fortnite.
You can't doubt them. If you had doubts before, now you understand why they are an S-tier trio, and this is why they have a chance now in the finals here. We're just going to toss over to the desk. We're speechless. Take it away, guys.
Okay, first off, NA East, you're beautiful. I love you. Second of all, okay, in the back, we're like, oh my gosh, wow, I can't believe it. We're gonna do this really dumb, funny bit where, you know, it's finally happened. Oh wow, Vivid's team. Oh, they're finally gonna have, and Adam's gonna get up and he's gonna walk around and be like, oh man, Vivid, oh, you're such a good, cool guy. No,
I blocked my walk. I blocked my walk.
First off, that was the most insane clutch. Like, in those moments where you need to make something happen and you put your trio on your back and you 1v3 another trio. After they do something so crazy, like, hey, I fell off this layer. What am I supposed to do? And your trio's like, hey, I've got a harpoon. Like, you didn't fall off the layer. Like, just come back up here. I've got you. I'm thinking in my head, that's it. This is the most god-tier harpoon I've ever seen. And then, you know what? Ty's like, it's fine, man. Sprite, me, by myself, and all by my lonesome, 1v3, no problem. Just, you know what? I'm just gonna get up. I'm gonna walk away for it. I'm done.
I was so happy. I was like, it's in the bag. Like, I was celebrating, and I'm watching, and Sprite's jumping around, and he's not getting touched somehow, and he wins, and my team loses. So that happened. Hey, Sprite, well done.
Yeah. I was like congratulating. I you know, grimaced teeth, and I was like, "Well done, for you finally done it. Vivid, you did it." And suddenly, we just see so. I mean, one thing is my team. I was really excited about. I thought that, you know, Divine's trio going to go all the way there. We saw that Pepper that failed just before hitting the bill, and I mean, everything was kicking off. It was absolutely insane. Sprite 9 eliminations. 1v3, and not just any trio, Calc's trio. A trio that we know so much about. You can see here so much action in game 1. We knew this was coming our way, but look at this. Dominating the high ground. Zeke touching it already there. The harpoon play to bring the team back together on the high ground again. That 3v1, thinking this is it. We've got this all day. And somehow, Vivid, he manages to do it. I can't believe it.
Yeah, I mean, props to Calc and Go, because honestly, the way that they played this game out was phenomenal. Like, I know that I root for them a lot and I give them the benefit of the doubt a lot, but like, it's looking good for the next 2 games that they play like that. Like, it really is. But they were patient in the early game, they were patient in the mid game, and at the end there, they waited for a couple high ground teams to go at it before they took height. They held height for a very long time there. They used their stink bow to apply pressure and just held it forever. And man, like, I wouldn't even want to feel that the way that they do right now, because it's gotta feel so bad to play so well and then just miss out so close. But yeah, Gabe, Tahi, and Sprite, props to those guys. They had Sweaty Sands uncontested finally, and they ended up taking it all the way.
They did. I mean, Aussie was on the money there as well, with Gabe, Tahi, and Sprite getting the victory royale, getting 10 eliminations as well. And the victory, I mean, that's a great, I mean, Sprite did the majority of it, but I think we worked it out as a 0.003% chance he gets all his choices correct. So we'll see what happens, but you can see their spotlight here. 10 eliminations, 7 final trips for these guys as well. A top qualifying finish of 26th, heat placement 17. I mean, they are absolutely. Before going into this, they had, like, I think I said 95 points on the lowest scores going into the reboot rounds of anyone this semi-final weekend. But we said if they manage to drop on their POI, they managed to get themselves into the next phase of the game without going down early on. We know that these guys could deliver the good stuff right where they needed to. And to think we had those two teams that we love so much have come together at the end there, and the clutch 1v3, absolutely sensational. What a reboot re-round to kick things off. Unbelievable.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh.
that is how I want the rest of the games to go, because that was great. We got to see a great clutch, but yeah, Aussie actually, he got his prediction spot on. Then I has a new
Aussie.
one. Got a runner up here, and he's going to go ahead and agree with Adam.
Yeah, I think Divine's trio there as well. I mentioned the Pepper fiasco where, jumping around. I thought that we saw one of the highest builds ever near Misty there as well. It just went on forever. It was humongous. And all of us commenting on how big this thing was, and Divine's trio somehow managed to, in a 2v3 situation, get around the back of things. I think Aces was the one who propelled himself forward to try and get somewhere else on the map. It didn't go to plan, and from there it's a 1v the rest of the lobby, and it just becomes a real kind of impossible kind of dream, really. But at the beginning, very early on, I think they're the first team to get 3 eliminations as well, right off the bat too. So already that Storm Surge, getting that damage done to make sure going towards the end game they're in a much better position. So we'll see what happens in the next one. Hopefully, hopefully Aussie's 2 for 2. I get my one. And Vivid's still on a big fat 0.
Wow. We'll have to see. We've got 2 more games. Hopefully, they are just as quality as we just witnessed. Actually, I hope not, because I don't want my mind to explode. It's already turning to jelly slowly, and I don't know that I'll be able to handle this. So we're going back into our casters. It's Botchity Bases, Aussie Antics. Boys, back your way.
Man, that is going to be a tough one to follow up after. Like, honestly, listen, Sprite, guys, if you're not following this man on social media, Gabe, Tahi, and Sprite, they have been through what has truly been a struggle the last couple weeks through the qualifiers, the semifinals. Stress at an all-time high going up against Clicks, Bizzle, and Booga. It's really just been a back and forth, but they have truly proven, Aussie, like, why it is that they are here.
Oh, they have 100% proven as a team, and I know Sprite is going to get a lot of that focus. That is going to go down as a top 10 play in Fortnite history. I can guarantee it. A 1v3 against a healthy, high ground team to somehow clutch up the qualification through a reboot round. There's nothing that can feel sweeter than that, as Calc, Joji, and Osp need to back this up right now. They need to make sure that doesn't affect them, because they just lost the 1v3. Their confidence is going to be a little bit low, and they're taking a spawn fight. This one's a risky one. They've obviously done their usual strat. They've dropped from Sweaty Sands onto the triple houses, but this time was a full trio, and this time they were ready for them. Calc trying to fight his way back through this one. He's only got 2 shots left in the shotgun. Is it going to be enough? He's literally running out of bullets, and the almost game 1 winners go down on spawn in game 2. That's gut-wrenching, Monster.
Oh, that's rough. That's so rough right there, especially considering they just won this battle. But it seems like Chewy, Magnolia, Donnie, they hit the drawing board. They were much more prepared for what was coming, and this time they were there as a full team to back themselves up. And that's just how quickly things are going to change here. Here's another team that can realistically take this whole thing. Owl, Strep, and company, but hold up. Faded, Brugge, and Turds actually end up coming out on top. Each of them win their ones. Their one-on-ones. And they best the opponents here. And now, all of a sudden, they're the kings of Sweaty Sands. But for how long? There's already a team moving on in. They can hear the shots in the distance, and they want to get involved right now.
I'm going to be honest, I'm not a huge fan of this strategy, depending on how much homework you've done, unless you are just that big of a brain player that you can just figure out a new drop spot, figure out the surge routes, figure out the loot routes, figure out the rotations, just stick to the drop spot you know. Just because Gabe Tahi and Sprite made it work doesn't mean you will. I mean, it took Sprite literally 1v3ing the last team to win it.
Yeah,
There's no real POI in this current meta on this current map that has that absolute power performance. We don't have like a Stark Industries or a Doom's Domain. If Sweaty Sands isn't the drop, it's the players. I feel like it's so much better to stick to the drop spot you know, rather than attempting to try to get this drop spot because you're not the only one with eyes on it. That was the clutch of a century. Everyone knows Gabe Tahi and Sprite just qualified. Everyone knows they are the kings of Sweaty. It's now vacant, but that doesn't mean you can roll up uncontested. And now we're seeing a three-way fight where I can't see any of these teams pulling off the same performance.
I mean, listen, the best part about it is that we knew it was going to happen. We just talked about once the team quals, who's going to take it, especially if it's at a main POI. There's enough room for two. Now we have three. Sweaty is not big enough for three. Leo, Aviv, and Zucky, though, they rotate in late. They landed actually outside, and they come in. They roll in with some power, some firepower here. They all have shields. They have shotguns. They have everything they need. They're looking pretty good right now, as Brugge's looking a bit more worse for wear. He's got that primal. You can see he's trying to go for the right camera peak. He's not going to find exactly what he's looking for, but again, he's pinched down. They actually do not want to finish this battle. They're hoping that they can slide on out of here, but it's not looking very likely, as Zucky and crew pushing in pretty aggressively.
Yeah, they're pushing aggressively, and this is not the fighting loadout. We got the primal shotgun that's been nerfed in previous weeks. We have the makeshift bow. We have a makeshift assault rifle. These are not the weapons you want to be taking early fight with, and Brugge, unsurprisingly, goes down here. Zucky gets that one. They might be able to get something out of this, though, but again, they've already gone through all the loot. They've already gone through everything Sweaty Sands really has. It's eliminations, but again, the points don't matter. But Aviv, Leo, and Zucky are now going to have Storm Surge. They are going to potentially be able to loot the rest of Sweaty Sands, maybe, and they could make something out of this. But the two teams that originally dropped Sweaty Sands, it did not work for either of them. So the story is now who can step up next. This is my second prediction. Surely I don't get 2 out of the 3 today. Divine, Ace, and Sid at caddy corners. We saw they were contested last game. They won it on Spawn Monster, and it looks like that team has decided to leave. So if they can put the Peppers to good use, like I know they can, they got a Victory Royale in their heat yesterday. This could be the team to take it.
Yeah, definitely. Anyone can take it. Sid, Divine, Ace now trying to just, figure things out, come back. We saw them go for that crazy high ground battle in the previous round after winning their draw spot fight here at Caddy's Corner. That team that was here, gone. No longer there. I'm assuming it's probably one of the 2 trios or 3 trios that are now up housing the Sweaty Sands district. So, again, just proving that in Reboot Round, teams are going to mix things up. Drop spots are going to be pretty volatile. Nothing's going to really be set in stone. So you have to be on your P's and Q's, stay on point all the way through every which one of these rounds. And this is game number 2, ladies and gentlemen. If you're just tuning in, once again, I want to encourage you guys, you got to watch that back one more time. That game 1 was insane, but that's what Reboot Round's all about. That is what this FNCS format has laid out for us.
A 1v3 in any standing, in any format, is going to be impressive for a Victory Royale, but to do it when the Victory Royale means so much, when it means everything. When your team came 17th place by 1 point, they tied on 97 points with 18th place. They were 1 point away from not even making it to the Reboot Round. They get their drop spot uncontested for the first time this season, and they get the Victory Royale. Like, let that sink in. I'm a huge Clicks Bislenberger fan. I believe that wholeheartedly. They are both fantastic teams, and all I wanted was for both of them to make the finals, but for Gabe Tahi and Sprite to prove they are that good is on another level of clutch. That was one of the most ridiculous games we're going to see, but who knows? We've seen crazy things happen in Fortnite. We could see a game 2 and a game 3 somehow match that level of hype, as everyone else has a big clutch to try to follow up.
Listen, the crazy part about it is in the last 24 hours, I've seen 2 of the best clutches ever. Jib FN, what he did, I think, during the Cash Cup, and that just went viral, was crazy. Now we got Sprite. This is exciting. This is good stuff. It makes me feel good because we are at the peak of moments in Fortnite, and we're literally, we quite literally have front row seats to it all. But okay, got Never Fly, we got Jax. They're making their rotate. They're trying to get back into things. What a day. So
what a day.
Now we have game 2,
all
right?
about. 3 rounds of reboot rounds. We got to try and match that now. And again, we got teams trying to fix up their mistakes as well. Gabe Tahi and Sprite came out strong. Their game plan worked. I mean, it's an unconventional one. I don't think usually a low ground 1v3 is how you intend to get your victory out. But we have Sizlucky, Nounsy, and Shades doing similar to what they did game 1. They had a decent game 1, but they need to do a little bit more. But again, a lot of it's going to come down to that zone luck. But Gabe Tahi and Sprite overcame the zone luck with this one. And Calc's team is now out. So you've got Calc's team out of this. You've got Gabe Tahi and Sprite out of this. Those are 2 of the most dominant high ground teams in this lobby. If a team can consistently take high ground, and I'm looking at teams like Ace, Sid, and Divine who have those peppers to maybe, you know, overcome a bit of bad zone luck to be able to ramp up to it a little bit more, they are going to have it, I don't want to say relatively free, but those real kings of the high ground aren't in this lobby right now. The team that took high ground game 1, they've gone down on spawn. So this is going to be an interesting game. This really is up for grabs for players and teams like Sizlucky's who won a game yet heats on high ground. You just got to put it together.
Yeah, that's a really great point. And listen, Sizz, Shades, and Nouns, I mean, again, they're here to play. They're ready to do this up big right now. And I do wonder who else is going to try to go for height like that, right? You just saw how much teams are willing to put on high ground, how much they're willing to bank on it for the victory royale, and for good reason. Every single zone, every step of the way, we saw a team was trying to capitalize up for high ground. If it was one team, it was another team, and it just kept juggling, right? Going between hands here, but hold up, Nounsy's going to get hit with a long-range bow shot there, almost taken out of the round, just like that. That's how quickly things can change there. Tides can turn. Elims may not matter, but if you get dropped this early on a rotate, teams will pounce on you. They will jump on you. They'll finish you up, get you out of the game, try and take your loot for the road. Now we have maybe a potential surge fight here, trying to set themselves up.
It's going to be an interesting fight here as well. These are 2 very, very good fighting teams. And interesting, the edge of zone. I think this is a bit of a surge engagement. Evasion's going to try and let them rotate, but wants to maybe get a few of those free shots as Sid takes down Shades. We were just watching them outside of Weeping. It looks like Sid's team rotating out of Caddy has now pounced on them. Divine now finishes up Shades. So that's looking really, really good for Sid, Ace, and Divine because that's their Storm Surge. They were uncontested Caddy. We know how good that loot is with the peppers. They have the vehicle to rotate across map. Now they have their Storm Surge. That is setting everything up for success. You saw Calc's team get a full trio wipe early in game 1, set them up for success, and they were so close to clinching the victory. So looks like Nounsy and Sizlucky got to do this as a duo, unfortunately.
Yeah, so unfortunate. Have their, of course, their trio mate Shades there chipped off. Sid, Divine, and Ace, they're so good though in these kind of situations. You know, they were a pick of mine coming into one of the weeks in lead up. Just a team that I definitely believe in right now though. Trying to put some hope onto, again, the sleeper trio here. Keep a really low profile. Trying to see what they can do right now. Just holding up, trying to gather information right now. Trying to figure out whether or not this trio is still inside the base. Nothing here tells them that they've already moved, and there it is. He gets a little glimpse of them. He knows that the rotate is pretty far. No one wants to be stuck behind there. Only 31 damage above. He does get the reboot card. I wonder, you think they'll play for the pickup here? It's possible.
It is possible, and we've seen some late reboots, unfortunately. I mean, they are going for it. It marks the lobby, but we've seen late reboots. This middle game, it's not as scary. You're in the hard mats, and they've got a lot of mats ahead of them to rotate into. I think the loot's also nearby. I'm seeing an epic primal rifle. There's something to get them back in the game here.
Yes, it's not completely all over, but they are now behind the surge threshold here because they've been waiting behind. You can see the team that was in front of them already looking back now. They've already realized there. It's a bright warning sign in the feed there when it says a teammate has been rebooted. It will quite show everyone who is picked up here, so they know exactly who it is. And now Sizlucky is going to be the target here. And that's why you rotate early, right? Ooh. That is exactly why you want to rotate early. You get in front, but hold up. Sizlucky put some serious shots down right now. That's enough to find the white tags. He might actually get the full finish, or someone did here. There's all the loot. Pops out. 4 medkits now. That's plenty to sit here for a little bit.
I mean, everyone's still in this one. This edge zone is looking really interesting now. Sizlucky doesn't get the Cypher. They've got 3 medkits. I see a flopper there. They can maybe make this, but this is going to be a comeback if they can make this one to a victory out. This is, again, the kind of game that maybe in a 6-round tournament, it's not the end of the world. You get some eliminations. You hopefully get a bit of placement, but to try to transition from this position to a victory out, this is a fantastic team, but this is a very, very tall ask. As I see Mars in the feed, a team that was relatively quiet last game, and we're getting a very challenging zone. We are getting one of our very early zones pull past Holy Hedges. This is going to be a tough one. I'm going to predict it now, Monster. Third zone's going to pull towards the coast. Fourth zone's going to pull towards the coast, and then it's going to come back towards the land. It's just how I've been seeing a lot of these zones play out when they go that far this early. So it's going to be about who can set up towards the coastline, but then be ready to back it up towards the land. I could be wrong, but that's how I'm expecting to see it.
Yeah, and I think most teams or players kind of think the same way as well, right? Usually it just doesn't land on you. It never happens, right? Get ready to move, especially when it's all tossed to water. It'll end up touching it at least once. We'll see now, though. Sid, Divine, and Ace here, though. I saw them in the feed during that whole entire battle inside the storm line. You can see they're actually just outside. They made it to the safety of the zone, but then jump on top of another team there. They get to wrap them up, finish them up. Now, again, moving nice and early. They don't wait for the last moments. They're trying to get out early. These are the plays that are going to be the difference makers for them. And luckily, there are still so many trees here. So a lot of cover to work behind as they make their rotate. So many other teams thinking the same exact thing. Look, they're marking them. I thought they weren't going to shoot here, but no, they're going to put a couple shots down. That's enough to at least force them off too, right? Give them some spacing, possibly make them build for you.
Yep. I mean, the one thing I'm not seeing there is I'm seeing the hot floppers. One of them is carrying a lot of peppers. I know it. Uncontested caddy, even with the worst luck in the world, you're getting at least 5-6 peppers, I'd have to say. And that's enough. If you have 6 peppers, that's enough to do a double, triple pepper. So you can pepper up your whole team twice. That's enough to overcome a first rotating zone or a first half-half opposite. And then that's enough to ramp up and take high ground. I'm really actually feeling quite confident about Sid, Ace, and Divine here coming into this game. I know it'd be ridiculous if I can predict 2 in a row, but they are looking fantastic on this one. It's a pretty far pull. There's going to be a lot of teams, especially a lot of those northern teams, that are looking a little bit risky. And like I said earlier, with the big names out of this one on the high ground, it is going to be up for the taking. But Sizzlucky and Nounsy still holding on. Honestly, I respect the effort. They're not going down without a fight. They know it's going to be a hard position to get a win out of this. They're still playing their hearts out, and I have to respect that so much.
Yeah, no one can give up after you just watched what Sprite did anyways, right? Like, that'd just be illegal. You can see that, even by yourself, if you got what it takes, you can definitely pop off. It's all about that well-timed execution and hitting your shots, most importantly. Sid, Ace, and Divine, though, now they make it to the zone, but they're sitting right on the edge. They didn't get really far beyond just, getting safe, if you will, which is kind of unfortunate, right? You really want to give yourself a little bit more distance. So unfortunately, they are just hoarding, right, with the pack here. Everyone moving together. They get more southern, though. Get more center. And luckily, it doesn't pull that far. Okay, so this is going to be a pretty favorable zone for the most congested side here. There is a couple of players already in there, though. And the one little mountaintop already housed up as well. So not a terrible zone, but better than what it could have been, right? Better than going all the way to the waterfront.
Yep. Better than going all the way to the water, but I'm actually noticing maybe they did just get horrendous luck. I think we just had the POVs of all 3, and I didn't see any peppers. I don't know how that's possible out of caddy corners, but they still got the loadout to make it work, so we'll have to see. AV, High Sky, and Animal, this could potentially be their game. This is where you got to step up and handle the pressure. If you're dropping a drop like Holly Hedges, and you get first and second zone and an area of the map that almost never gets zoned, you need to make it count. That is the game where everything matters. As we see Chewy Magnolia pushing in on a fight here, this has to have been maybe a bow headshot or something. This was a long-range knock on a D-Roller, and they've pushed in. D-Roller and Vix go down. Things are looking sketchy right now. Both D-Roller's counterparts from his last team, or actually one of them playing here today. Colazo made it through. We're seeing Class here today as well, so gonna have to see if D-Roller can do bigger in Game 3, but Magnolia being taken out early in Game 1, they're looking pretty good here in Game 2, Monster.
Yeah, but the team looking the best right now is that high ground team right in the middle of Leo, Zucky, and their third. They're just right there, dead center right now. They get to see everything that's going on. Take a look at them. It's Aviv who's up top. There it is. They have the best spot here. They haven't moved in quite some time either. You can just tell. Stinkers in the inventory. Okay, that is the counter of any heal strategy. Big radius, especially in the end game, that can really start to come out. It almost becomes a power tool in the final instances. And with them having high ground right now, if they pull half-half, with the metal base that they're sitting on, the peppers in the inventory,
and
they
peppers.
have so much going for them. Like, this is quite literally the dream scenario.
Yeah, and you got to think those stinkers as well. They also have the double utility of being able to be eaten for extra white meds. We'll see heal-offs come down to 1 or 2 ticks the difference. So eating a few stinkfish can massively help, or just putting them down on pressure on a team below you. If you're playing a heal-off, it's all about white heals. Those stinkfish go straight to the white health. So it's going to be interesting to see, and they're pretty much poised to take this one unless someone can answer. It looks like Ace and Divine have ran into some struggles. I don't think I'm going to get the back-to-back Divines out of this. Ace and Sid have to do it as a duo. This rotate was a pretty rough one for them, unfortunately. Eclipse stays in the feed as well, and they're not in here. I think they thought they were in. They're one step off. We have Ace popping the med kit, and now they're down there, and the other high ground team doesn't get zoned. So I don't know who this pulled towards, but they have a big advantage. But there's 2 teams, and I'm looking at those arrows, looking at each other. Who's going to ramp up? Who's going to try and take the high ground on half-half?
Yeah, it's going to pull straight south. That's more favorable towards Sid's Lucky and crew, who are moving in nice and late. So anyone that played that wide rotate, went around the edges there, they're going to get paid off in full here. For Leo, Aviv, and Zucky there, it's not looking too hot as they have to make a long rotate. But hold up, Ace and Sid here still getting pressured. No one wants to give them or give them an opportunity to breathe here. And now it's time to move. Like, when are they going to decide to go? They're trying to wait. They're trying to time it. 5 seconds here. The clock's already ticking. They do have Hopper Fish as well. And Ace just says, no, we're going to save it. So they're trying to keep this winning trump card, right, for the final moments.
Oh.
But are you even going to make it that far right now?
I mean, I respect it as well. You got to play for the win. If you use the hot floppers yet, now you're a little bit further in, but unless you get a big refresh, but at the same time, if you go down now with them in the back pocket, you've always got to ask, what happens if we use them? It is Fortnite at the end of the day. Anything can happen. All you got to do is find a knock or an elimination onto a team that has mats, maybe has some peppers, and you can pull it back. It's a duo. It's going to be pretty tough, but Ace is still fighting this one out. We saw it with Sis Lucky's team earlier. Everyone is playing this one to the last breath as Sid goes down. It's now Ace as a solo. I feel like, I don't know, Calc's out of this one, so Adam can't, taunt Vivid too badly, but, Adam's going down here as well, so I think everyone's losers right now with the predictions, but who is going to be the winning team as Cobalt goes up for it? And then we do have Kippets on the low ground on front side. Remember, last game was won by a low ground team. Yes, it came off the back of a ridiculous 1v3 clutch, but you can't sell short how important it is to not be the first one on height, it's to be the last one on height, as Twexy, Stowe, and Not Panda get it, and they got to pressure this team off. This is it. This is one of the big moments right now. This is massive. They've gotten high ground, but they've managed to do it without having to fight anyone for it. As long as they have a bit more material on Twexy and Stowe, which I hope they do, this could be your winning team right now.
Yeah, and they did a good job, man. Panda stays on the defensive there, really puts out the pressure to the builds. And now all of a sudden, I think they have it pretty comfortably here. A lot of distance between them and the opponents. And even now, look, trying to pressure the enemies off those second layers. They don't want anyone close nearby. Stinkbow in the inventory here, again, just raises in value in these endgame instances here, especially. Now, though, time to put that pressure down. This is where the Primal is just really not so useful, right? And look, there's teams down low trying to pressure out their high ground. They're probably going to have to reinforce here soon. This is still not a free game by any means for this team now. 6 builds left here onto Panda. I have to assume that his teammates are probably running thin too as Stowe goes down. Oh no, he gets caught out. He gets broken off the builds, and he actually had all the material there. 34 builds, and now Trap and crew sneak on up. They take high ground. Durant's on the backside, but Magnolia, he sees the fight too. He cranks to the front side, and now it's his height. Oh man, we're exchanging hands here for high ground, and Magnolia Shields now the next team up to potentially take this all home.
I think Magnolia has this one. We're shooting him with that team on the backside, but like I said, it's not the first one to take height, it's the last one, and this is what you're gonna see. You're gonna see a lot of teams fighting for it. It's Donnie and Magnolia. They got taken out game 1 by Calc's trio. Game 2, they challenged them and they won. This is their chance to pop off, because game 3, potentially, they're gonna have to go up against Calc's trio again. They need to make this count. They need to do it now, and they need to do it as a duo. Chewy has gone down. Donnie's been dropped. He only has 8 builds. I don't think he's got this. 8 builds on the low ground. No, Magnolia falls. Donnie, Chewy, and Magnolia do not have this. Every other team needs to be paying attention to this for game 3. It is an absolute all-out battle for height. You need to time it to perfection when you try to take it. If you go for it too early, you are not going to hold it, as Donnie's going for the medkit in Storm, but as a solo, we have Straw, had Charlie, Goku, Egu Monster. I know you were hyping them up. You were talking about them as a potential to win it. They are a full trio on low ground with a good loadout, good meds, and 5 elims on the board. This could be a low ground game 2 victory.
It's absolutely possible. This is definitely one of my picks to take it all home. This is an underrated trio here. These guys practice hard, and they practice every single day. Do not count out any of these teams that put in as much work as any of these trios. And honestly, with everyone going for high ground and them being so content on the low, look at all the material they're conserving here. They're conserving their entire positioning here as Colbo, Dank, and Hofner go up for height once again. Remember, they just fought Trap and Durant for it, and now they're up here, but they're out of material. This is the cost that it takes to play this height, and now Pepper comes out. That's a desperate take for HP and utility. What can they do with it? They're just gonna have to work off enemy builds. Someone else sneaks up though, Ozzy. It's never gonna be free, but Kobo connects, and he connects big right there. Can they get the refresher? Yes, he does have the harpoon. It gives them just a little bit more of that siphon material, so at least they're still in this game right now.
And Zone keeps pulling across, which is hard for them because they're running out of mass, but they got a little bit more. They're holding on. Hofner goes down here. It's Dankline and Cobalt. Remember, Spegu's a full trio on the low ground. It's Spegu who took down Hofner. We could see a low ground team overthrow high ground. You don't see it often, but when everything's on the line, when it's the biggest stage, that's where you have to step up. Spegu, Goku, Charlie, what can you do?
My God.
It is a 3v2. You have the numbers advantage. Goku is weak, though, and they have the stink bow. If Goku takes 1 or 2 ticks, he will go down. Dankline's on their builds. They don't have anything. This is going to go down to a shotgun off. This is going to see who has the nerves of steel, who has the aim, and who is going through into the finals, because Cobalt is desperate. He's out in
taking
Storm.
so
So
much
much damage. He
Goku
gets the shot.
hits it.
Though. Dankline and Cobalt, they're playing together. Charlie on the low ground. Charlie on the high
One
ground
shot
now
left.
with the hot fish.
One shot left.
He doesn't
There it
have
is.
it. He does. It's 38. He steps around the corner and he takes down Dankline. Goku, Spegu, and Straw Hat Charlie get the 10 elimination victory out. I know elims don't matter, Monster, but they dominated the low ground.
It's just so impressive. It's so impressive watching teams battle it out. There's different strategies being employed here, but again, consistency. We talked about playing your strategy, play your style, and they do just that. They stay low, they stay consistent, they make it to endgame. Endgame, where if everyone else is battling for high Aussie, they're running thin on material. They're looking a lot more worse for wears, right? Especially in those last games.
Yeah, I mean, if that zone went back, potentially high ground could have maybe held on to their materials, gone back over old builds and kept up the pressure, but maintaining as a full trio on front side as being pretty much 100-100 until the very end, that is so many levels of impressive, but it's going to change up the story for Game 3 now. We've had a 1v3 clutch in Game 1, which was from the low ground. We've had Game 2 win from the low ground. Who's going to maybe just say, hey, we have all the material, we have all the meds, let's just hold it down here and then go for it late, because anyone who's full sending early, they aren't winning right now, Monster.
Yeah, no, they're not. But you know what? That's reboot round number 2. Wraps and written down. That's how it's going to unfold. We're going to toss it on over to Zeke and the boys, though. Tell us what you got, guys.
Man, a new challenger approaches. Goku did not go Ultra Instinct, but Charlie sure did. Yet again, we're seeing this, guys. Double-digit eliminations in the reboot rounds. Now, keep in mind, the only thing that matters is the Victory Royale. They don't need to go out of their way to get all these eliminations, but they sure are doing so. And this is a brand new team that I'm unfamiliar with, at least on the Goku front, is now punching their ticket to finals. I mean, that's what you like to see, Vivid. That's what you like to see.
Yeah, I love how Aussie pointed out that basically anybody that's going for high ground right now is doing a really poor job of closing out on the games. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people going for height, and they're each using so many materials, so much of their resources to either defend it or take it, that they don't really have anything to back it up when it comes down to those situations at the very, very end. So these people on the low ground who are picking up all these elims, they're healthy. They got all these mats, and they just close out from the low ground.
Yeah, absolutely spot on. I think what's really interesting as well, random stat for you, looking at the points from yesterday as well, the only other team aside from Tahi's, our trio, the first reboot round winners there, that got 95 points, Goku's trio. How crazy is that? Bit of a random coincidence there, but hey, just a little stat there for you guys at home. That's what we're here for. Being spot on, yeah. It was incredible. I mean, I think we're so used to seeing high ground be the dominance there, but low ground came through and clutched it, got the win.
Yeah, I'm just so shook by that last game. We got to run it back and relive this moment. It's just, I like the casters are kind of pointing out, there's just so many different ways to win the game. As long as you have that valid win condition, you can close out the game. But you have to make sure that you're actually following through to get the win.
Yeah, the huge thing here is that Goku, Spigu, and Charlie, as you can see from that POV there, they are just so far ahead on that low ground. They're claiming everything at the front of the zone. They are making sure that nobody can contest them on that low ground, basically. So they have all this space to work with. And essentially in Fortnite, what that space does when you're on the low ground is it gives you a lot more angles and opportunities to work with. And that's why they're finding these eliminations, which leads to, you know, refreshes on the material side of things. So that way they can continue this fight in this 3v2 situation. Obviously, they have the odds in terms of numbers, but if they'd had no materials here, if they found none of those refreshes, when you play on the high ground against somebody who doesn't have mats, it's very, very easy to find angles on this because they're below you. But yet, you know, finding those refreshes is really, really important. So well played from the low ground from this trio.
Yeah, absolutely incredible stuff. And you know, I'm wondering what's going to happen in the next game, the final round. Before we get ahead of ourselves, though, let's just clarify. Gaga, Goku, and Charlie. Spegu, Goku, Gaga. I mean, come on. 10 eliminations again. That's back-to-back 10 eliminations. 95 points teams, 10 limbs. I mean, this is incredible. It's like everything's a coincidence right now. Don't worry, guys. I've already checked as well. There were no other teams yesterday with 95 points as far as I can see. So there's not going to be 3 for 3. But yeah, what a fantastic opportunity for these guys. We're going to finals as well. So as you mentioned, Zeke, a relatively new team that is now getting an opportunity to go up against the best of the best in FNCS finals. They'll be joining the other teams next weekend. And there is only one spot left. But speaking of spotlights as well, this is Spegu, Goku, and Charlie. They are the ones we're going to highlight right now. 10 eliminations, finals trips, only 2 finals trips. Top qualifying finishes 14, and heat placement 16th as well. So just scraped into with heats, and they've done it. They've gone all the way, and the dream is coming true for these guys, and absolutely elated for them. Absolutely incredible stuff.
Man, I'm very excited to see these guys make it into finals. The question becomes, though, can Straw Hat Charlie, can he find that one treasure that they're all looking for, the Axe of Champions? I mean, we'll have to see, boys, but you know what this means. We've only got one game left, one final chance. There's only one spot available on the battle bus. There's 31 teams trying and vying for this one spot. Dreams will be shattered after this game. I don't, like, the stress levels just continue to rise for me. Like, I left EU with a stress level. I came into here. The stress hasn't come down. Later, I'm going to go into NA West. I just want everybody to win. You know, I want everybody to be happy. So far, though, these games have not disappointed. I'm just really scared going into this last game to see, like, how this could go. Because, like, Vivid, for you, Calc and his trio, they made second place game 1. Game 2, off spawn. Like, anything can happen in these games, man.
Yeah. They are sticking with their strategy. Hope they do the same thing in game 3, and you know, hopefully they just execute on it a little bit better this game.
I'm just sat here absolutely buzzing. I can't wait. I just can't wait.
I know. Well, guess what? We don't have to wait much longer because it's time. We're going on the battle bus one last time in the reboot round. MDF, Ozzy, back over to you.
And here we have it. This is going to be the last game of the reboot round here for NA East. Oh, man, we've seen some really exciting games. Listen, Ozzy, you have a pick on the board for Gabe Tahi Sprite. I have a pick on the board for Spegu, Goku, and Straw Hat Charlie. But now there is only one team left that can actually pull through all the way. And the question remains to be answered. Who will it be? Look here, just judging by the drop spot volatility all over the map right now. Craggy Cliffs, triple contest. Coral Castle, double contest. No one at Holly. Like, there's no prep anymore. How do you prepare?
And Sid, Divine, and Ace leaving caddy corners that could have potentially got them the win and going over to the Spire. I guess they potentially thought that Owl's team wouldn't be here because Owl's team went steamy last game. Sweaty last game. So I don't know. Things are changing up, and here they are. They're now here, center of the map. They want to see if this drop spot could work for them, but Owl, Chaotic, and Strep have this one won. Things are looking pretty bad for mine and Adam's pick here. Sid, Ace, and Divine are on the back foot, and I can't see them getting their way back into this with 2 blue makeshift assault rifles and a green makeshift bow. That is not the loadout to win a 2v3 with.
Yeah, definitely. Listen, and they're already down a member, right? So this is pretty rough for them.
This is very rough for them. And I mean, this is why Spire is such a difficult drop spot. It works if you get the loot around it, if you make it work. We've seen, you know, what Nosh's team did here in the qualifying weeks. They absolutely dominate out of this drop spot, but on less preparation, it's a tough drop. I said it after game 1. I said it after game 2. Stick to your play style. Half the drops, half the strength of a team is in the drop spot. Is how well they know the drop spot. Where are the loots? Where's the angles? Where's your storm surge routes? If you get a north zone, which way do you rotate? That's the kind of prep. You can't just come into the game knowing instinctively. You have to do it. You have to do your practice. You have to do your research. But unfortunately, it looks like one team that switched up their drop has gone down to Spire. Al's team not looking too fantastic to walk away from this one either, because Zucky, Aviv, and Leo are looking really healthy in this 3v3.
And man, I hate to say it, but Zucky, Leo, and Aviv have had just the best third parties of the day. Like Sweaty Sands, they were successful. Game 1, they didn't get taken out, and now game 3, they successfully just time. And I don't know how they come in with all the loot as well. Like, so for Chaotic Owl and Strep, you have to be the most unlucky team right now to come across the luckiest team that is playing Flex Drop right now on the Fortnite map and finding success left and right. Can they clutch up now? They have to hit all the shots. Owl's already down. There goes his teammate in the follow-up, Chaotic. And now it's up to Aviv and Crew to just finish things up, and he does. Hits the big shot there. But talk about Flex Drops. Talk about somehow finding success and making it all work without having a single drop. Like, confirm to yourself.
I have to wonder if they're just changing their drop spot based on who wins the round to land nearer to third party them. It's the only way you can potentially, like, there's no way you can third party Sweaty game 2 and then third party Spire game 2 from a different game 3 from a different direction. They have to know, as we see Calc, Joji, and Oz. But now, obviously, if you guys on social media, you've seen it, that 1v3 Calc's team, they're copping a little bit of heat. And I really want to see Calc, Joji, and Oz focus up here and win this one, because they had the game in the bag. It was a 1v3, but the same time, they ran out of mats. They were on their last leg. Spry came out with the hot flopper. It was a nuts play, and there's not much you can do. You got to focus up and win, because Calc, Joji, and Osp, I would say right now, as the teams left in this lobby, in the position they're in now, has one of the highest chance of winning. But it's a mental battle, Monster. We've talked about the stress. We've talked about the anxiety coming into these games when everything's on the line and you almost had it. You were just one player short of getting it. To bounce back from that would be so difficult. I'm happy to admit, Monster, I know you've competed in the past in big tournaments in early Fortnite days. I personally could not handle that pressure, and I have so much respect for these guys that can.
Yeah, and it's not even close. Like, this is just a different level, right? Like, they've been doing it for much longer. The practice is there. The literal blueprint. You've watched different players pop off and show off. So again, it's like, is it your turn? As a competitor, you just never really know. You just try to do your best. But, you know, with Fortnite changing things up, this reboot round, there's all kinds of additional pressures that I don't think any competitor has ever really experienced before, right? This is a first for the entire scene.
Yeah, I know a lot of people saying the same thing. The reboot round feels like the finals, and it really does. When everything's on the line, it is fantastic. But remember, we do have finals next weekend, 12 games, 6 games each day of the weekend. It is going to be so exciting, and we're going to see who's our last team that's going to be getting their ticket to the finals, and that's where all the big prize money is as well. These guys right now, they've been playing to make it there, and this is a risky fight here. This is a fight you see quite often. If you don't know why this fight breaks down so often, Flush Factory has a really, really good upgrade NPC that also potentially sells shotguns as well. So if you're looking for a power shotgun, if you're looking for a power weapon, you head over to Flush Factory, but quite often you're not the only team, and that's why these big fights break down on top of it.
Oh, and it's not looking good right now as Predator gets hit big time there, loses all the shield, now has to pause down, giving up their advantage. Looks like Squish and Play do end up sitting up above for a little bit there, but hold up. Right on top of the NPC, has to be careful. The NPC gets angered there as he gets hit, so at least he gets a little bit of backup here, and now he jumps down to upgrade the loadout. Doesn't forget that that was available. Swinging back around,
no, the loadout like I was
down.
talking about. I mean, that's why they're all here, but I mean, it's a 2v3 now, and again, we're playing for the win, guys. We're not playing to win the fight, we're playing to win the game. Someone's got to end this one quickly and get out. They're in zone, but they got to start getting some loot out of this one as well. Surprisingly, these teams are looking pretty well looted. One of them could make it out of here and potentially pull something out of this game, but that's what I was expecting. Again, like I said, a lot of teams rotate into Flush Factory for the upgrades on their way to their actual rotate paths. You now see another trio heading over from Misty direction, heading in from the east, and they're rolling up onto this fight, and you've got to imagine it's Yaz's team who has the loot advantage coming into this fight. Yeah, and you know, this is not a draw spot that you can take these long fights on. Inevitably,
Now they get to get punished for sitting here for too long. They could have bounced back, but no, of course, lets the guard down. Doesn't really have the awareness to check behind him in that instance there, and he didn't have the builds either to do much about it. So Yuz, CJR end up finding themselves a nice free knock there as they both open fire. Doe, Crispy, and Vague, they're trying to decide, okay, there's definitely a team here. There's surely an opportunity now for us to try and slip on out. We don't want to be here much longer. Remember, they have to play for the win, not just winning this battle, but the entire tournament. So it's time to get on out. Time to take the L here, forget the mask, forget everything, and hopefully distance yourself.
I mean, there's 3 teams at Flush Factory. I can't see this going too well for any team except for maybe Yuz's. Yuz's team pulling up late. They got some Storm Surge. They haven't really invested any material into this. We're seeing even the Ghost Mushrooms thrown around now. One of the main utilities you get on this area of the map outside of Slurpee. They do luckily get the zone in. Got to start thinking about teams this zone plays into. I mean, Calc's team again rotating all the way out of Steamy. I know it's not going to play into their hands. We saw a triple team at Craggy Cliffs. And as I mentioned, Calc gets a knock onto Cloudy. That's big. Calc's team is still pushing. We talked about the redemption story of Tahi, Gabe, and Sprite. They got to play Sweaty Sands one single game in a set lobby during, and they get the victory out with Sprite clutching up a 1v3. But Calc, Joji, and Oz have been playing fantastically. They made it to round 4 every single week. They just fell just short in that final fight. And if they could win it now, everyone's a winner today. And I would love to see nothing more. I know I'm back in Sid Ace and Divine as my pick. I know I backed Calc, Joji, and Osp earlier in the weeks, but honestly, after I know how Calc, Joji, and Osp must be feeling, to see them put that behind them, especially as the young players of Joji and Osp, and then clutch up the game 3 win, I mean, nothing would make me happier. So, Class and Susboy, I'm sorry, I'm cheering against you here, but you guys are fighting well. Osp has now taken a big shot, and they have to back off this one. Calc's team maybe playing a little bit too aggressive, and looks like Joji and Osp have both taken some damage. Calc's the only one healthy here. It's a 3v2, but they've got to be careful. They're not in zone, and they're playing super aggressive here.
Yeah, not only that, they're sitting up straight across from Nani, Durant, and Trap, who are watching this fight from a distance here, taking pop shots as well, so you can see that's why there's so many extra builds there to protect themselves, because that mountain is just really not too far off. But now here it is. It's time to get that game closer, get the big shot, end this fight here. They're expending so much here now, but they can do that too. Remember, they get the entire draw spot to themselves. All this loadout, look at all the ammunition, plenty to work with. So all these tags aren't just for nothing. What they're losing, probably the biggest here, is the material, right? All the material count they're putting into this. Off gets up Suspect though. Okay, so they end up at least winning that fight right there. That was almost really close for Suspect. He nearly clutched up the exchange there, but no, it is going to come out to the trio of Calc.
Yeah, and it looks like I'm wondering where the trio went off to. Where did they go right now? I believe it was Class that was still up here, so I don't know how. I think Class is just disengaged a little bit to that west there, but Calc, Joji, and Oz get their damage. They've got more than enough Storm Surge here, but did they use too much for it? I mean, I'm still seeing 2 big pots. I'm seeing 6 minis, 2 med kits. I mean, I think they had the extra loot to burn, and coming out of Steamy, that's what it has. Plenty of loot, but you need your Storm Surge. So we get our quick stat flying in. The players competing have 111 total FNCS final trips, more than any of the heats, and it's an interesting statistic. We've taken out, you know, arguably the best teams, because that's how this format works. The top 3 each week, the top 3 from last grand finals, and then the top 6 from heats. But you've still got fantastic players in here. You've got some players who have gone to finals 111 times. One of those players being Calc, who's gone to almost every single FNCS final in history. So, man, it'd be sad to not see him go there this time around, as well as Legend Dean goes down here. We're talking about OGs, and Summer Riley's left as a solo.
Yeah, he's on the run right now. He's playing his high ground here, trying to see what he can do. He's going to sneak in. These edits are his. Great shot there, but they're below the surge too. So, again, these are teams desperate right now to get their tag on, get their fight on, and this is why it's all unfolding. It's actually Yuz and crew who rotate, double back from their draw spot and where they came from. And now that's just how that's going to end up playing out here. Summer Riley has to make a move. 23 damage above the surge. He gets tagged from behind, but no, that's another completely new trio looking inside. And of course, they have the limited information right there. They're not too sure. Is this a solo? Is this a trio? What's happening here? So they don't jump on. He actually gets lucky.
He gets lucky. That kind of broke apart the fight. But when you think about Reboot Round as a solo, I mean, he's lucky to live another day, but you can't see getting the victory royale out of this one. But again, I can't say enough about how much I respect these guys' competitive integrity. Everyone we've seen today as a solo, as a duo, at the very end with nothing left in the tank, they still keep pushing forward and keep fighting. Lucky's team last game was doing it as a duo. I mean, we have Class now disengaging as a solo, trying to pull something out of the game. You've got to respect the determination to try to do something to clutch up a Game 3 Reboot Round victory royale, even when you must have a 0.001% chance of doing it as a solo.
Yeah, for sure. Here now, though, again, I mean, yeah, like I said, lucky to see another day. He's trying to grab the cards, though, to see what he can do from there onwards. So, you know, if he gets the reboot cards, if he manages to rotate out, maybe something can happen, but pressure's on. Contemplating now of whether or not sneaking up for high ground and potentially taking a sneak on in, but no, they're aware. They saw the fresh builds. They're peeking him here. Is this him throwing in the towel at this point? He's going to the shotgun battle. He gets dived on. Tack upgraded as well on the other side of the wall. There's no way you're winning that one, buddy. Sorry. And there it is. This is the last and final game of the reboot round here for NAE East, guys. Don't forget it. For every team that falls now, their hopes and dreams of make it to finals are now over. They come to a pause. You have to get back on the practice. And of course, watch from the sidelines.
Got to get back in. You got to figure out what went wrong as well. You're in the reboot round. I mean, certain teams like Gabe Tahi and Sprite, they proved that they didn't deserve to be here. Some of these other teams still have to do that here as well, as High Sky and Animal light up the feed a little bit here. Perto and Diminished also lighting up the feed. Things getting a bit aggressive now as Storm Surge is kicking teams into action. 72 players alive. We need 2 more to still go down to get below the Storm Surge threshold, and third zone is closing. So this game, even right to the very end, has stayed stacked. I said that the first game was going to be a bit stacked as everyone came out a little bit slow, a little bit shaky, trying to, you know, feel out the ground. Everyone's felt it out now, but they're still playing for that victory at the end of the day, as Class as a solo gets found out here. And no, this is D-Roller onto his old trio mate. I don't know if that feels good. I don't know if that feels bad, but it looks like Class is going to be saying goodbye to finals. D-Roller's got a chance to go there and meet his ex-trio mate, Colazo, who managed to clutch up the 6th place yesterday in heats. I mean, we didn't watch that one, Monster. It came down to them getting contested at Flopper Island by a full trio, and they managed to wipe the full trio. I know we watched on the tail end, but man, such a big clutch, and I don't know. You got to imagine it feels bad running into your old trio mate, taking him out as a solo, knowing that means they're not going to finals.
Yeah, definitely. But hey, listen, it's a dog-eat-dog world. We'll see how it all ends up folding out for everyone else. Each of these exchanges definitely means so much. We already know what's at line, what's on the line, what's at stake here. 3 elims, though, for Animal, High Sky, and AV now. As again, it just sets them up a little bit further to do something big here. I really did
Osp goes down.
Put this on. Oh, is that Osp going down now?
Osp goes down, but I don't know.
Elam.
Sorry, Monster, to cut you off there. Yeah, I don't know if that's going to be maybe a finish. Maybe it's the knock and they get him back up. At least go down in the feed, but I'm not seeing any capital. I don't know. Maybe they're not finishing him off. We'll have to see more. Sorry, Monster, continue your thought, mate.
Yeah, but no, I was just saying, I really do feel like, you know, it's gonna come down to the vets. It's gonna come down to the vets. A team like Animal, AV, and High Sky, they can absolutely do it. They have peppers in the inventory, the elims already. So this is a team that now, looking at things, the way things are unfolding, they can take advantage of this. This is also ending on a mountain, right? This is where the veterans also come into play. This is very, you know, you got to know how to play these games. You got to know how to hold these high grounds and do this right. There's no room for error here. This is the more difficult time. And before this tournament kicked off, we were talking about it. I said, man, I hope we don't get a Nightmare Zone. And you were like, hey, you know, I don't know, man.
I was like,
I don't mind too much.
We saw it last night, OCE Game 3. Not this mountain, the one across towards Caddy happened, and it went way down to the depths, all the way to the very bottom, down to the crypts, as you like to say, Monster, on the coastline. And it was exciting to watch, and it was the team that banked on that went all the way down to the bottom, was Kunai's team that ended up qualifying. So it's a tough zone. It adds a little bit more luck, but it adds that little bit more, I don't know, spice and flavor to me. We have Yuz up there on the top. You're talking about the veterans, and I fully agree. Veterans do have the advantage here, but Yuz, a young demon I've been watching for a little while now, actually came out on top of Misfits' qualification run. He ended up joining Misfits through their solo kind of qualification process, clutching up big. So he's on the high ground, has the peppers, has the god loadout. They could maybe pull off an upset, but all eyes on Sizz Lucky, obviously Vivid's ex-trio mate that I know he didn't pick to win it here today, but he's definitely backing to hopefully clutch this one up. We'll have to see.
Yeah, and they're looking pretty good as well. Set up power rifles in the inventory and everything else in between to work with. They're the only team that's actually this distance out, though. They have a really interesting position here. This is a position that can get themselves fully focused. They are quite honestly exposed to the rest of the lobby, but you know, it's spots like that. It's taking high-risk positions like that that can definitely pay off if the zone ends up pulling. Osp, Calc, and Joji, though, we saw Osp go down, but it seems like he was picked up, saved in the competition, so he is back and here still running it. They're on the side of the mountain, not at the top, not at the bottom. This is an okay position to be in, not a great one. Plenty of enemies everywhere, halfway through the material count, but they do have peppers this time.
And with the harpoon as well, like, I could see this going really well for them. Players are going to be pretty shambles on Matt, and this is the worst zone to try to fight for high ground if it pulls down. If it pulls up, yes, high ground is ultimate king. Everyone has to come up to you, you get to hold that pressure. But if it pulls down, it is so easy for a team to wait in storm, pop a flopper or two, and then just jump out once you drop below them. And all of a sudden, with no builds expended, height is there. So this endgame is going to be a big one. You're not going to want to tune out of this one. This will be one of the most exciting endgames you've seen. I know it's been hard to top today, but Oz, Calc, and Joji have a chance for the redemption. Calc has been here before. He has won a trio FNCS Grand Finals, the first ever trio FNCS Grand Finals. His ex-trio mate Mackwood is already into the finals. Zextro, we're going to miss him. He's not here today, but can Calc jump up and get into the finals? Because a lot of people, myself included, would agree that he deserves to be there. That game one was an upset. It was a bit of a mistake, bit of a blunder, but they're putting that behind them. How impressive to go from that to then potentially catching up in game 3. Calc, this is your moment of redemption, and there it is. Takes down Panda, gets the big pump shot, but no, Calc falls. It's onto Joji and Osp. He literally falls down the mountain. Joji and Osp are in the builds above, and he falls onto Eclipse,
they're gonna save him.
Lazar, but Joji and Osp, they're not giving him up. They're going for him. Eclipse didn't know. Eclipse's team didn't know they had a player on there. If this is their build, they can get the revive. They have the medkit, they have the minis, they have the peppers. Hope is still alive, Monster.
There's no way. There's no way they actually get the save right there. Calc gets picked up. Shout out to Joji and Oz to play for the savior. I would pay to hear the communications on that one. It must have been incredible there, but hey, he's still in this game, and the team jumps in the box full on crazy mode, probably for surge tags, because you mentioned that this is a rough place to fight, but some teams will have to fight, and it's inevitable, right? And now look at this, the zone pulls 4 south, it's going to the coastline. You called that it might go to the coastline, and now it is, and you called this as well. You have to get off this high ground. You cannot stay up here. You cannot branch out. There's going to be so many teams coming on down now. Because they plops the hot poppers. Yes, and that's it. Those teams are jumping out. They're off to the races here, but Calc, Joji, and Off are still in this here. They still have a chance.
And that's what Calc is setting up for. He could potentially stay here and maybe try to take the high ground. I don't think he wants to go for it. The peppers are popped. Osp is taking some damage. Joji's taking some damage. They are all getting lit up in the feed. But who can make it off the mountain? If a team can seriously hold the high ground off this one, they will be in a fantastic position. But based on the angle of those shots, I have to imagine that there are teams that are down here who have already based up and they have the potential high ground. As Joji is getting lit up here, the mechanics have to come out here. He can't miss any of the edits, and he doesn't. He makes it into the build, but for how long? He's only got the minis. They dropped the med kit. Hope is still alive, and they have the harpoon. It goes across. It doesn't go up. They don't need as many materials here. High ground will not have as much of an advantage, but you have to ask who is on the high ground. I see Animal lighting up the feed a little bit. There is somebody that's up there in a position of power, and with zone going across, it is Azervo, Fop, and Gandhi. I put my name out there that yesterday with uncontested Slurpee would be their day. Unfortunately, they fell short, but they've left it to this, and they have one game to make it work. I'm not seeing any meds, and I'm not seeing a lot of material, Monster. Are we going to see a repeat of them losing high ground to somebody else, or can they finally hold it and get the win?
Listen, we've seen a little bit of everything today. The most ridiculous comeback stories, the low ground victory. I'm assuming high ground is walking away with a textbook victory royale. Even amidst all the pressure, this is it. The last game, the last round now to clutch up. They can absolutely do it. And this is an experienced team. This is a team with a lot of seasoned practice. This is a team that can do this right now. But Mars, Nexa, and Crew are just underneath second height. They're not focusing. And there it is. Finally, they start to look down. They just have to play textbook. Don't let up the pressure. Once you stop pressuring these teams, that is when they try to do those sneaky high ground retakes and you lose out. That's what we've seen time and time again. I mean, for Oz, Calc, and Joji, it's not looking good, though. They're all down to no shield here, Oz.
Yeah, but it's Gandhi's team on the high ground that's run out of materials. They've run out of ammo. I'm looking at teams like Nounzi. I mean, they can try and do something. Lucky is in there. They might be able to do it. Joji, Osp, and Calc on their last breath. I know Joji is a person. I know him as a player. He's going to be burning after that game one. He's going to want to make up for it. What can he do? And he goes in the box, and unfortunately, he goes down. Gandhi, Azerbo, and Fop, they had to drop off the high ground. I called it. They don't have the utility to hold this. Nounzi, Lucky, and Shades could win this. They're a full trio. There is 6 teams up, 13 players. One of them goes down, though. Azerbo and Fop. Fop is right now trying to farm out their house to get some material to hold on to this one, but he doesn't have the heal off. He doesn't have the utility. Who can close this out? It's Lucky Nounzi. I know right now Vivid is on the edge of his seat, cheering on his ex-trio mate. We're talking about Calc having won an FNCS before. Lucky's team came second, but he wants to go through to the grand finals. He wants to come out on top, and I think they're going to. Lucky and Nounzi on the high ground. The spray's coming out. Azervo has nothing. He has nothing left. He's on the low ground. The harpoon, the desperation. Lucky's on top. They can't lose this. There is no way they lose this game. They are going through to the finals unless, wait, did he harpoon some mats? How does he still have anything still in this? The spray is coming out, but I don't think he's going to be able to get up. He's trying to go for the heal off. Lucky is just going to finish him off, and Lucky, one of the absolute OG comp veterans, is surely making it through to the finals with the final elimination to boot. And I mean, man, battle of OGs, battle of the new young faces, Monster. We have our 3 teams, and that's it. Finals is secured.
We got a little bit of everything here today. The reboot round brought the excitement exactly the way we knew it would. And then, Ozzy, what was that? We went 3, basically together, 3 for 3 on our picks. There was a very slim chance we could have done that, but that is just the homework, the preparation, and knowing what these players have to offer for any team that made it this far. Congratulations. You just won one of the most difficult rounds of Fortnite ever.
And I mean, tough zone as well. What a zone to win it on. Down the mountain, up the mountain. They played it perfectly, and you talked about it. That's where the competitive kind of experience comes in. That's where the nerves of steel come in, when you can hold your own, when everything's on the line. I love Reboot Round. Monster, I think we're saying goodbye. We are going to be sending it over to the desk. We're going to be back next week for the finals, though. 12 games, and I guarantee they're going to be just as intense. Zeke, close it out, mate.
Thank you guys so much. Absolutely insane games. Observers so on point, following all these trios that we wanted so bad to make it to the end. But it's Lucky. I cannot believe it. Just having this masterful performance going into these final moments. We're walking alongside this mountain, and they're like, look, save your materials. We know how this is going to go. We can make it to the end. We can hold this high ground. We can close it out. Wow. Unfortunately, Vivid, it didn't happen. Calc's trio did not make it, but still a massive congratulations to Lucky and company. Wow, super well fought from them.
Listen, I'm used to it. My predictions don't work out. But what does work out is a Lucky victory out. Like, I think I'm more excited for this than I would have been if Calc would have won that game. Like, let's go Sizz. You know, they actually didn't make it into the first game because of some internet problems, but they got into the last 2, and the last one is where they get the victory royale. Monster D-Face called it. Great prediction from his part. He believed them because I got that victory royale yesterday, and Lucky with the veteran experience there, knowing that he just waits for that high ground team to make a couple mistakes, and then they go ahead and they strike a little bit later when they can. Well played. Let's go, Sizz.
I'm with you guys 100% there. Same as you, we're watching Calc's trio just scrambling to survive. They're coming down that mountain. The storm was just going this way, that way. It was incredible to watch, but Sizz and Co, just unbelievable from those guys. And I'm so pleased they're in the FNCS finals. I'm so excited to share that experience with them next week. It's going to be amazing to watch.
You know, speaking of watch, we got to watch the last moments of that game to see how it all unfolded. Just once again, look at this, man. Having to climb the mountain, you have nothing left in the tank. And for Sizz and company, they knew, they understand, they were watching this, and they literally used the last bit of their materials to ensure themselves that they would have this win. I mean, look, even just the 16 builds, that doesn't sound like a lot, but boys, that's all that they needed.
Listen, I remember playing trios, and I think it might have been in the heats, or it might have been in the finals of the squads when I was on Sizz's team. And right over here by these mountains, Chap caught out a huge, nice flank on the high ground, and we ended up winning the game from that. And Let me tell you something, Sizz just knows how to play these elevational changes because of his experience in squad and trios with, me, Chap, and Tom. So well done for him. And there you guys have it. Sizz, Nounsy, and Shades will be our final team going into the finals.
Yeah, congratulations there. I mean, do you know what? I was just watching Oz there at the bottom there, thinking, I could have my Sprite moment. I could have my Sprite moment. Oh, no, I didn't have my Sprite moment. Sadly, it didn't happen in 3v1. But these guys did go through, as you mentioned. It's just an incredible thing to watch. These guys go all the way through to the finals with 5 eliminations. So they've had 6 finals trips, top qualifying finish of 38 and the Heat placement 16th. Yesterday we actually watched them in Heat 3 get a victory royale in one of our games. And we that alone kind of got them into contention for being part of the reboot round as well. So to get here to compete with us, these personal moments as well. We lost Calc's trio, which I genuinely was rooting for as well with Vivid on the sidelines. I promise you guys at home, I absolutely was. I wanted to go through as well, but to see Sizzlucky and co as well, who Vivid's such a has that connection with as well. It's just as special. So really, really exciting stuff.
That's right, man. And of course, there was 3 trios that did pick up 3 victory royales. Here they are as a refresher in case you're tuning in toward the tail end of the reboot round for NA East. You've got Gabe, Tahi, and Sprite. Sprite literally pulled off one of the craziest 1v3s, as
Insane.
in he was by himself and had to fight off 3 other members of an entire trio to qualify. Spegu, Goku, and Charlie also pulled off a last-minute 1v1 to qualify, and you just watched it right there. Sizzlucky, his trio, they held the high ground, they pulled it off, and now we know all 33 trios going into finals next weekend. Gentlemen, it has been a fantastic weekend of action. We got the semifinals yesterday, we got the reboot round today. I mean, it's just so much fun. And all to think, we saw 4 more matches in NA West. So we're not done yet. It's not over. Now, if you don't want to watch NA West, then you know where to find us next weekend. We'll be here for Saturday and Sunday. 6 matches both days. 12 total matches and 1 FNCS Trios champion. As always, Fortnite fan, make sure you guys follow Vivid, follow Adam, follow MDF, follow Ozzy. They pour everything they have into these broadcasts. Without them, it is not possible. So please make sure you come back at least next weekend to see the exciting conclusion of the Chapter 2 Season 6 FNCS Finals. But again, we're not done yet. NA West is only a couple hours away. We're hanging out with Shio, we're hanging out with Kelly, Clay, and Sundown for all of that. As always, Fortnite fam, we love you guys so much. Thank you so much for tuning in. It is crazy to think we're going into finals, boys. Next weekend is going to be some of the craziest action we've ever seen. So until then, Fortnite fam, we love you. And as always, we'll see you on the Battle Bus.